We know Dad's here because he already said good evening, boys. Dad's still a Packer fan. We think. I don't know. Is he? Ephraim's got a new favorite Packer. Guess who it is? It's Jaden Reed. He drafted Jaden Reed in fantasy. He scored the most fantasy points of any receiver this week.
No,
And Ephraim is his new favorite Packer.
if it wasn't for Jaden Reed, I don't know what you could cheer for this team. You know what the Packers game should have been called? That should have been called the Pooh Show, because that's what it was. A bunch of poo. Okay, I'm done. Bye.
Ben's in a bad mood and he's tired. Shocker. Listen, I appreciate you doing this. I know you hit a wall. You said you didn't have to work tomorrow, so I thought we'd be okay, but it's all good. We don't have to go on too long. Everybody watch the game. There's some interesting things from the game. There's some plays that just from the highlights that I wanted to take a quick look at. Maybe some things others didn't notice. Probably some things some people did notice. And then there's just some stuff about Matt LaFleur that just makes you wonder. It just makes you wonder, like, how is this going to go? How is it going to get better? But I will say the Packers didn't really play that well, and they barely lost to the Eagles. So I don't know. Hey, Lee's here. Lee, how you doing? So there is I think there's room for improvement, and they barely lost to one of the best teams in the NFC, who was physical. Saquon Barkley looked awesome, like he used to look before I drafted him in fantasy, I should say. And they had receivers torching us left and right, and Jahan Dotson didn't even get nothing. He didn't get nothing, and I drafted him, and I thought he was going to be something. But I think did he get one target, maybe? One target? Damn.
I don't know, but I'm glad you stole him from me.
Yeah, I feel it really, really, really good. Lee says, lots, room for improvement, lots. You bet, Lee. All right, so a couple of interesting side notes about the game just before we get into it. I don't even know how to be honest. I was going to try to do a silent but deadly player, and I don't even know how to pick one. Because the guys who were deadly were actually pretty loud and obvious, and the guys who were just, they weren't silent but deadly, and then there are other guys who were just deadly, who were more silently deadly but deadly in a bad way that people might not have noticed. So maybe I'll turn it around to give it to them, but then that makes it negative, and I know everybody that don't want to be negative want to be positive, but it's hard to be positive, right? Jordan Love takes an injury like right towards the end of the game. That's hard. First, everybody thought it was really horrible. Now they think, oh, maybe he could be back. Matt LaFleur is being all coy, and I don't know. No, we don't know. We're going to give him every opportunity. His words are, he's going to give him every opportunity to play as long as he can go out there and feel confident about playing and not hurt him. He can protect himself. As long as he can go out there and still protect himself, they're going to try to clear him to play. So I don't know what that means. Is that similar to the Aaron Rodgers situation of 2018, where he just signed the big fat extension, gets his knee blasted in the first game against the Bears, and was like, I don't give a rip how bad you say my leg is. Like, I just signed this big contract, and I got injured last year, so I'm going out there and I'm playing, and I'm going to play this whole season, even though I'm hurt and all this stuff, and do whatever you got to do. And maybe that's what they're thinking with Jordan Love too. I'm not sure, because same situation, signed a big fat contract, first game of the year, gets hurt. Can't have that guy out, right? Because you just paid him all this money and you don't have anything behind him. Just like in 18, we had DeShone Kizer behind Aaron Rodgers. So that didn't go too well.
All I know is it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter, because I'm going to name
the O-line stinks.
I'm going to name some players for you.
The O-line stinks.
I'm going to name some players.
Okay.
Preston Smith.
P. Smith.
Rashawn Gary. Kenny Clark. Jair Alexander. Those are our highest paid defensive players, not named Xavier McKinney.
Who looked good on the one pick. He made a good play. And then I didn't see him do a lot after that.
Anything else after that?
Yeah.
But I didn't mention him. I mentioned the other four.
Yeah, I got you.
Those guys are paid 3 of them are paid to are top notch at their positions, and then Preston is kind of hanging on around with probably making more than he should, but we all know that.
Yeah.
But those other 3, Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, and Jair Alexander, are all young and in their prime and should be able to dominate games at times. Watch other teams play, the guys that they pay, the big stars, they dominate games. TJ Watt took over the Steelers game and dominated. And that's how the Steelers won. Other teams, when they have a guy, Saquon Barkley, they signed him for a big fat check. And
hey, why did we sign him instead of Josh Jacobs? Like, there wasn't that much difference, right? In terms of
the difference is that Josh Jacobs, he got a lot for 1 year.
Oh, okay.
And then it kind of piddles to nothing. Like, he doesn't have nearly as much guaranteed as Saquon does, because Saquon's actually good. Oops, did I say that out loud? Yes, I did. But that's not the point. The point is this. And now you can add Jordan Love to that list. Because now he's the second highest, thanks to Dak. Second highest paid quarterback. And he looked like a freaking chump. I would take Baker Mayfield over him right now.
Hey, Baker
Mayfield throws the ball like a freaking madman. You don't care. Jordan Love was slipping in the beginning of the game, and then he decided, you know what? All my throws, I'm going to just jump in the air and throw with my arm and throw it into the dirt and throw it behind guys and throw it around guys and totally freaking miss them. How about if we change his cleats and put some longer cleats on so he can get some freaking traction and not worry about slipping?
Yeah.
Maybe do that, and then maybe you'll be more accurate, because you're getting paid $55 million a year to be a stud to win games. You can't be missing throws like that, and everybody's giving him a pass. And everybody's so concerned about the injury, and they should be. But my point is this: if we're gonna, and this is how it's hard to be a Packer fan. They give all this money to the wrong guys. What's the key factor in all those guys that I mentioned? Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, Jair Alexander, Jordan Love. Name the key contributing factor between those 3 players or 4 players. That's all coinky dink. What is it?
Packer first round picks.
Packer first round picks.
So if they were Packer first round picks, they got to be the best.
That's right. Even though they're not. And yet we pay them as the top at their position, even though they're not. And they continuously prove they're not.
I said it before. Like, let's see those guys go to free agency once. Let's see what happens.
When Rashawn Gary gets a sack because Lane Johnson decides not to block him, and that's his best play of the game, that's effing sad.
That's the only time he did it. That's the only time
he... Well, no, he got his hand up and batted the ball one time. Yeah. So he had 2 plays. Otherwise, he did nothing. Kenny Clark got his ass kicked the entire game.
Well, now, hold on.
Is it one of the best offensive lines in the league? Yes. But still, he's paid as one of the highest paid defensive tackles in the league. He's supposed to be so studly. Where is he? What does he do? Nothing. How can you be a fan of a team when everybody who makes all the money doesn't fucking perform? You can't. And then you watch Aaron Jones go to the Vikings and kick ass.
Look good.
You watch Lukey Patrick, who's an afterthought on the Packers, who they say he sucks. And who is he starting for? The frickin' Saints. And they kicked the crap out of the Panthers by a crap ton because they got a good, solid, smart guy. And then you watch Sean Ryan get his ass kicked. Too. What? Derek Carr
looked good. He looked good in that game.
That's all I'm saying. How could you be a fan of this crap? Goody doesn't care.
Because they fill in, they find those other guys like Jaden Reed who makes you believe. Yeah. And even though they're not getting the money and they're the guys who are performing well are the guys that are barely making any money, and the guys who are making all the money aren't performing well. But the Packers have done this for a long time. Overpaid for low impact. And that's what they continually do, because I have to only assume it's an ego thing, because I cannot assume they're looking at what happens on the field and think, wow, there's no way we could let this guy go to free agency because the price would go up. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, let Kenny Clark go to free agency. Let any of these guys go to free agency.
There was a episode of Andy Herman's show last week. He had Ben Fennell on.
The Fennel.
Ben Fennel, who's a well-known film guru.
Yeah.
Who works for the NFL. And they were talking about Rashawn Gary.
Mm-hmm.
And what they said was, and Ben Fennel even said, oh, well, he's not like a dominant stud. But if he can be like a solid guy, get you some sacks, kind of like a Nick Perry. I was like a Nick Perry? They mentioned Nick Perry as being a good fit to what Rashawn Gary should be doing. No! Nick Perry sucked ass, got 8 sacks one year, and then they were like, oh, we have no other outside linebackers on the team. We have to sign him back. And they signed him back, and after 1 year, they cut him because he sucked.
Yeah. To be fair,
Ben Fennel compared Rashawn Gary to. Think about that, Packer fans.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a Keith McKenzie or I don't know, Brad Jones. Name another outside linebacker for the Packers, or defensive end / outside linebacker, undersized defensive end, who was pretty good and serviceable. Not even that. They compared him to a piece of crap, Nick Perry. and I thought that was a good thing. And Andy Herman's like, oh, Nick Perry, that's a good one. I'm like, that's a good one? Are you drunk? How can you be a fan with that?
Could be compared to Aaron Campman. He's not even Aaron Campman's
Aaron Campman, he'd have to wipe Aaron Campman's butt to even get anywhere near as good as Aaron Campman.
Look, here's where the rub comes in, though. So and this is interesting. We'll take a break from what we're talking about, and let's hear from the Packers head coach. Let me see if I get the right one here. I think I will. And then, because what's interesting is, he really threw me off, because following the game, Matt LaFleur was pissed that this Packers team, and he says it right here, that they didn't have much of a pass rush, and I think he went off about it a little bit. But let's go ahead and listen to him for a second and hear exactly what he said, so we're not misquoting. Here's Matt LaFleur after the game. I'll pull him up here. Give him a nice dig, and Matt LaFleur, turn him up. All right, what did he say?
Take a look at it, but I mean, they were having their way with us. I would say it felt like Jalen had a lot of time to throw the football, and I think anytime that you don't get a pass rush, and again, that is a really good offensive line. I just expected more from our pass rush tonight, and then when we did bring pressure, there were a lot of times it looked like guys were uncovered. We had some mistakes. Certainly in the run game, especially, we had some blown gaps where Saquon was barreling through there and getting chunk gains. So,
okay. So what's interesting about that is after the game, I believe, because the press actually came back to Matt LaFleur and asked him about this, because this was post game, right? Following the game in Brazil. And then they got back, and there's a few days and all this stuff. And then the press came back and asked Matt LaFleur about that, because they said, hey, Kenny Clark said the rush plan was just really to contain Jalen Hurts in the pocket. So that would, take away some of the aggressiveness of the pass rush, according to Kenny Clark. But Matt LaFleur is immediately pissed after the game that they didn't get enough pass rush. So it's a little confusing there, right? People not on the same page, I guess.
Here's the thing.
Or is Kenny Clark just making excuses for why he didn't move very much? I don't know.
It could be. It could be Kenny Clark's full of crap. It could be that Matt LaFleur lets Jeff Hafley come up with a plan, and that's just the way it's going to be, and they don't really communicate. It could be, are you ready for this? It could be that maybe when they did dial up blitzes and get pressure, the whole defense as a whole didn't know what the hell was going on. There's one play in particular where Keyshawn Nixon blitzes from the slot, or nickel, and Jalen Hurts, if he would have had to hang on to the ball for a second, probably would have got a strip sack, fumble, because Keyshawn was barreling in on him, but he didn't have to, because the wide receiver, Brown, just went, did a quick out route, and Jair was there, and he was playing 9 yards off on a nickel blitz. On a nickel blitz, when you know your guy's not going to be blocked, you should be playing bump and run. Bump and run, because then what you're doing is, number one, you're disrupting the pass route, or the receiver's route, which will then make the quarterback be like, oh crap, and then maybe hang on to the ball for a split second longer, and that split second longer will give the blitzing nickel a chance to get there. Plus, if you're playing bump and run, you'll be closer to the receiver and it'll be a harder throw. But Jair's playing off by freaking 9 yards on third down on a nickel blitz and just gives it up.
Yeah.
That's coaching.
Is it coaching?
Or it's Jair just doing whatever, just like when he intercepts the ball in the end zone and then waits and then runs it out like a dumbass.
Like he was going to go
Guy's so
somewhere.
stupid. I want to punch the freaking screen of my TV every time I freaking see him do something stupid.
Let's be clear, too. He only got that pick because, I mean, okay, he peeled off his guy and actually recognized, but really a really dumb play by Jalen Hurts to throw all the way back across his body. He didn't have enough on it. Ball hung up in the air. Okay, Jair made the catch, but he caught it in the end zone. You're in the end zone with all those guys around you. You take a freaking knee and you take the ball at the 20.
You're saying that like we were in a game against a really good Eagles team. It's like the Eagles gave us 3 balls, dude, and we couldn't do anything with them. We scored 6 points when we had perfect, really good field position because of stupid penalties. False starts by Zach Tom twice. What is Zach Tom? He's supposed to be the man. Why is he?
And some play calling. Don't you feel like play calling too? Like there was, we were okay. Granted, running the ball early wasn't great, especially with Jacobs. But then Emmanuel Wilson got going and had some big runs and looked pretty good. Blocking was better on those, no doubt. And then in the second half, there was better blocking and there was some movement of the ball. And then all of a sudden you get in the red zone and then the run game goes away again. We're just like, I'm sorry, is this the same old like Aaron Rodgers Packers? Like what the hell's going on around here? Like why do we use the run game and then we stop?
Quarterback, so you got to make him look good.
Come on, man. How about you do what's working?
You know what the Vikings did when they got inside the freaking red zone?
What'd they do?
They ran the ball with Aaron Jones.
Smart.
There was nothing there. And then Aaron Jones sprinted to the left just like he did against the Cowboys. And he almost looked the exact same play. He could have easily went just like this, just like he did. And he was high-stepping it because he beat the corner with quickness and speed to the outside and beat him to the edge for the touchdown. And you know what? Josh Jacobs doesn't have any of that speed and quickness to get to the edge. And neither does freaking Wilson. Now, maybe Floyd does, but that don't mean nothing because he's hurt.
Yeah, it says what? I say bring out the tackling dummies for practice.
Tackling. We could talk about that.
We'll show that. We'll get to that in a second, Dad. But let's hear a little bit from Matt LaFleur here because there are a few other interesting things now. It's almost like Matt LaFleur doesn't remember what he said a couple days ago. But let's get to this one. And then I'm not going to go find the other one because I don't have it, but I'll tell you what he said in his most recent press conference, which we hear a few things time and time again. But let's hear what he said about the defense here.
Every mistake, whether it's execution or communication, whatever it may be, can cost you. And there was a couple things that happened more so on the headset and specifically at the end of the game. The kickoff is a great example where I was upset with communication. So I put that always on myself and how can I be better and make sure that we clearly articulate what we're trying to get done. And so we don't put ourselves in those situations.
Ben, how many times has Matt LaFleur said basically that in his time in Green Bay?
What he's doing is the classic, I'm taking the blame, but my guys are dumb. That's what there's more to that clip from earlier when they first asked him about that. Yeah. Keyshawn taking the ball out of the end zone. He played the second part because when his first reaction was, he was like, well, that's on me. I mean, I didn't communicate. That's on me. The guy, we didn't want that to happen. That's not what should have happened there. That's, but the communication's on me. Okay. This is your 6th freaking year as a Packer head coach, I think. That's how long you've been a head coach now. When you screw around and do stupid shit for the first year or two, we can be like, okay, this guy's never been a head coach. He's kind of a ding-dong. Okay, whatever. But now you've been there for 6 years. And it seems to me like this. It's the same thing we talked about last year. The inmates are running the asylum. Keyshawn Nixon should have been told from the start, do not take that ball out unless it's caught at the just into the end zone. If you're 5 to 7 yards back in the end zone when you catch it, you stay put. Yeah. Jair should know. Somebody should tell him, if you intercept the pass in the end zone, go down because you're a moron. Someone should tell him that. He should know this.
You've never
But he's
returned
crazy.
an interception for a touchdown ever. Not even close.
And that's why. And LaFleur is doing the same crap. He's kind of like Donald Trump. It's not his fault. It was a miscommunication with the headset.
But he takes all the blame, though.
It's all my fault. It's all my
it's on-
fault.
it's
But
on
you know
me.
what? It's not really my fault because I knew what I wanted them to do. I just didn't tell them. So it's not my fault. No, it is your fault because you're the head coach. This is a game situation. Maybe play the guys in the preseason. Maybe communicate what's supposed to happen with those guys. Maybe know what the freaking defensive coach is going to do with your guys if they're supposed to just sit there and do nothing for a long time. And if they are supposed to sit there and do nothing for a long time, what is the secondary going to do? Because then they're going to have to cover for 1,000 years if there's no pressure on the quarterback.
Mhm.
We had 3 turnovers in this game. Or we took 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
2 of them were just given to us because they're dumb. Because the Eagles are dumb. And we still lost. But that's the difference. When you watch other teams with good coaches, and this is why when he goes up against Kyle Shanahan, he loses.
Mm.
Aaron Rodgers last year, when they beat the 49ers in overtime with the great pass over the top of Warner, in week 3, we got a win against the 49ers, and everybody was like, he finally beat them. Who gives a crap? Every time they play them when it matters, they lose. And why is that? Coaching.
It was wasn't he an undrafted guy that ran all over everybody?
Who?
Ran all over the Jets? That Mason kid? Another
I don't know.
undrafted. I think he was an undrafted running back. Christian McCaffrey got hurt in the 49ers game. And then
I didn't watch the game. I don't care. I told you
I'm
this.
just
I don't. This is when we're before the show. I'm really mad. I'm tired.
It
I
just
don't wanna
goes
talk
to
Aaron
speak
Rodgers.
to-
I hate Aaron Rodgers. He's out. He's gone. I do not care.
I'm not talking about
I did
Aaron
not
Rodgers.
watch
I'm talking about
didn't watch
the
Jets game. I didn't watch the 49ers game.
49ers,
Now you're gonna
Kyle
get me mad. You know
Shanahan
what happened?
making players know what they're doing. The players know what they're doing. They're running the system,
You
and
know what?
people succeed and they look good.
Hey, you know how like I knew how good he was going to do. You know how they trained him up? Because even though on the fantasy football wire and when they did the injury report, they put Christian McCaffrey as probable,
Mm.
and I have him on my fantasy football team, and I would have won had I known he wasn't going to play. On Friday, they told Mason that he was going to start.
Oh,
But Christian McCaffrey was listed as probable all the way until kickoff when all of a sudden he was out. And then I lost in fantasy football because I started him and he didn't play, and I lost by like 7 points. I could have easily swapped out somebody and got some freaking points.
you could have won. You didn't win though because you were going against Nick. Is that right? That's the way it
Yeah.
goes. All right,
It's lucky crap. But that's
Lee brings up a good
that's
point.
what I want to say about that. Is Matt
Yeah.
LaFleur is trying to do the classic.
Mhm.
The Andy Reid. Remember Andy Reid when he was at the Eagles and they would suck, and then he'd be like, "Oh, it's mine. I'll take it. It's on me. That's on me." Well, after a while, when it's on you and it's on you and it's on you, you get fired. Just like Andy Reid got fired from the Eagles. Now he went to the Chiefs, got lucky, he found Patrick Mahomes, and got a bunch of Super Bowls. So now he's going to be great. But for the longest time, it was Andy Reid every time they lose. Oh, that's on me. That's on me. That's on me. That's on me. And now Matt LaFleur, that's on me. Except really, I didn't just communicate. I mean, I knew what I wanted him to do, but that's on me. That's on me. No blame. Can't take the blame. That's not taking the blame. That's passing the buck. That's Aaron Rodgers. That's classic Aaron Rodgers. Oh, the wind. Oh, miscommunication. Oh, whatever. All this crap. Blaming Matt LaFleur for kicking a field goal against Tampa Bay when he couldn't get in the freaking end zone from the 8-yard line 3 times in a row. And everybody was like, oh, go for it. No. I'm done talking. Talk for some
That's
while.
fair.
I'm muted.
Yep. No, you're good. I'm just gonna say that you bring up some good points, but the ironic part is Matt LaFleur was talking today about all this stuff. First of all, the press asked him way too many questions. Like almost the whole press conference was questions about Malik Willis, and I was like, "What? Why don't we ask him some questions about the defense? Like, how can your defense be better, and how can your defense help your team win if your starting quarterback is out? Because they obviously need to perform better so you can win when you're playing a backup quarterback and a guy who's only been on the team for 3 weeks." But we didn't get to any of those questions. We had one question about the defense, and it was like way towards the end of the press conference. Almost all the questions were about Malik Willis. But Matt LaFleur was talking about how great the communication is. The communication is great. Everybody's on the same page. Our communication is on point. And it's I'm like, how are you? A couple days ago, your communication's bad, where you got guys doing stuff that apparently you didn't want them to do, and they're supposed to know that, but you didn't communicate it well enough. And now the communication's great. It's great. I don't know what's going on. But obviously, I know communication is hard because in many industries, for many businesses, it's their top priority and thing they got to clean up. But JJ points out that the O-line and D-line got their asses kicked. And yes, the O-line was pretty bad, even though apparently the grading for Elton Jenkins was amazing in the first week, although I saw plenty of times where he missed blocks. Josh Myers, I don't even know what to say about that guy. It's like him and Rasheed Walker, it splits second blocking. So if they accidentally block the guy at the proper time when the running back is right behind them for their very short block, it actually works. But most of the time they just, guys run past them, run around them, run through them, and they don't sustain any block, or Myers runs out in front, does nothing. So those are problems because that's your starting center, and they don't really have a backup center. And they don't have another tackle that they feel comfortable with either.
Yeah, but you know what? They drafted a tackle in the first round, didn't they?
Yeah.
And what did he do?
He's rotating with Sean Ryan. He's
at guard. And you know what? Let's take a look. What was the fans saying that the Packers really need to draft in the first round this year? Oh, yeah, cornerback. And what was the position that everybody said was really deep? Oh, yeah, cornerback. And what was the position that the Eagles took with their first 2 picks in the draft? Oh, yeah, cornerback. And how did the freaking Eagles rookie corner look against us? Pretty damn good. Now, was he beating the crap out of guys and they weren't calling anything? Yeah. But you know what? That's because he's aggressive. Unlike our guys who stand away freaking 9 yards back and don't do shit. But Quinyon Mitchell, or whatever his name is, freaking was awesome. Don't you think the Packers could have used that guy? He was there. Could have had freaking Cooper DeJean, who didn't even hardly play. We could have had him. He didn't even play for the Eagles. We could have had him. Sure would have been better than freaking Jair and freaking Eric Stokes. I can tell you that.
Come on now. Come on.
But instead, we got a guy who we drafted, the 8th best tackle, who we played at guard for like 9 plays in the game. Awesome draft pick, Goody. Idiots. Other teams, when they draft a guy in the first round, they freaking play him.
I know.
Because they need him, because he's good. And we had a chance. There's a bunch of good corners, and they chose not to take a corner until round 7, and then they cut him and put him on the practice squad.
Well, even if, like we were talking draft night, even if you would have drafted like the best interior lineman right there, you need that too, and that would have helped you because you still don't know what you're doing at most of your offensive line spots. I mean, 2 of them you feel good about, and the other ones you don't feel good about. So, look, Packers made a lot of questionable choices. A lot of these guys who they picked in the first rounds underperforming, and they were the wrong selections in the first place because they could have made like over the last couple of drafts, they could have made an incredible offensive line. Instead, we have what we have, and the line was bad, right?
We
the line
Lucas Van Ness, who played 7 snaps or 12. I don't even know. He was the 4th guy coming. Like
0 impact.
Barry played way more than him.
Yeah, 0 impact.
Last year's overall pick doesn't do nothing.
13th overall pick too.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah,
nothing. What was the point of that guy?
I don't know.
I mean, we can go on and on of stupid. The guys we give a bunch of money to don't play. We're worth a crap. They're not worth the money. We waste first-round picks on guys who don't see the field because we've already given a bunch of money to guys who are already at those positions, so they don't play. Or we draft the 8th best freaking tackle instead of the 3rd best corner because, that's smart. But the bottom line is, it doesn't matter.
But we're supposed to believe and trust.
I got another conspiracy. I think they're not going to play Sean Clifford because they're afraid that he's going to look good.
Oh, come on. They're not afraid
I think
of
they're
that.
not going to. I think that's why they're going with Malik Willis, because they know he's going to look bad. Because they can't have anybody look better than Jordan Love. They just gave Jordan Love $55 million a year. What happens if Sean Clifford goes in and just runs the offense and they actually win and look good? That's going to look terrible. So they got to make sure they play a guy who just picked up off the street 2 weeks ago from the freaking Titans, who got their balls kicked in by the team they played, who was the Bears. Bears couldn't even move the ball on offense. They scored all their points on defense. You know how I know? Because I had them on my fantasy team. I left them on the bench, and they scored 37 damn points on fantasy football that I would have loved to have, because I would have beat Nick, even with Chris McCaffrey out. But I don't want to get into all that. We're going to go back to the truth. This guy couldn't even be the third-string quarterback on the freaking Tennessee Titans. And that's the guy they're going to play, because they know if they play Sean Clifford, he'll actually run the offense. Maybe it won't be pretty, but it'll be effective. And this guy is going to just do crazy shit because he doesn't even know the offense. He's only been there for 2 weeks.
I don't know. Matt LaFleur said he's been grinding, and they're going to go over the plan and make sure it's only stuff he's comfortable with. And Matt LaFleur said repeatedly, the other thing he said repeatedly, Ben, which is also should be concerning to all Packer fans, is that, we're going to go over all this stuff, and we're going to, put our players in the best position to be successful. We're going to examine everything and only run the plays that are for the right guys. And he said it. He said that's their
why
job.
is Christian Watson running 5-yard comeback routes on every freaking play? How many times we watched Christian Watson run a 5-yard comeback route the other day? Christian Watson's not a 5-yard comeback route guy. What's he going to do after he catches it? Nothing. And that's what he did. Why? Well, in the red zone, when we needed to get the first down, we run Luke Musgrave. We kept both Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave on the same side on third down in the red zone, and they blocked. And then Musgrave is the one who leaks out in the flat, who Jordan Love then throws to. And then, of course, he can't really catch it, and he does sort of kind of, I don't even remember if he caught it or not, but either way, he got tackled right away. So it didn't matter because he can't break a tackle. Luke Musgrave can't even run. He trips over his own feet all the time. But Tucker Kraft would have caught it, probably punched the guy in the face, and then went for the first down, because that's what Tucker Kraft does. Even though Tucker Kraft played 60-some snaps, Luke Musgrave only played 17. At least the Packers figured that crap out. We've been saying for years. And now, of course, Andy Herman and those guys are like, that's what I've been saying too. I've been saying it. No, you haven't been saying it like we've been saying it. We've been saying it since they drafted him. Since they drafted Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, Jason and I have been saying Tucker Kraft is the starting tight end. He can do everything. He should be starting. Luke Musgrave is a situational type player who can make a big play every now and again, but he's not a starter. Yet everybody talks about Musgrave. Oh, he's such an athletic freak who trips over his own feet.
Is Goody pissed about that too?
I don't know, but I'm fired up. I'm so freaking mad at stupid that I can't handle it. I can't handle stupid.
But we're supposed to.
Like the Packers are surrounded by stupid everywhere. They're running at the top. Mark Murphy turned up a truck. Stupid. Goody. Stupid. LaFleur. Stupid. They're all stupid. All of them.
Supposed to be in Goody. We're supposed to trust, right? Isn't that what the theme is? And then we hear all the time. They see the guys and think about that. They do see the guys every day, and they spend all this time and all this energy and all this stuff into examining these players and evaluating them. And supposedly they know football way better than us, right? Or anybody else. And they're making the decisions to put this team together. And it's like, then, I mean, how do you not question a bunch of these decisions? They don't make sense. They don't make sense on any level. So many of the things that have been done, the draft picks, the loading up at certain positions and having subpar players at others, all of the things that make you not have a rounded out team that's going to ultimately not have enough weaknesses to get exposed where you will lose against good teams, the Packers don't do. And why? So we're just supposed to trust these guys that are in charge because they're the ones that are in charge? No, not when they make decisions like this, not when they do this stuff, not when we see players who are drafted high playing like this. So let's look at a couple of plays here real quick. I'm going to let you guys, this is from the highlight package, so there's not extra angles and all that sort of stuff, but I'm going to let you guys kind of look at it and we'll talk through it a little bit and we'll turn the announcers down a little, but just sneak a peek. Now this is we got a flag. Okay. It was 12-7. Got a flag. We're going to go for 2 here, Ben. We're going to go for 2. All right. And we decide we're going to run it. Okay. We've got 3 tights in here, all tight formation, which means the whole defense is bunched up. You got all 11 guys right there. And you're down to quarterback and a running back. It's 2 guys that can't block, right? And I want you to watch Josh Myers right here. I just want you to watch him. He's the guy in the middle, the center. Just watch what he does in this play. And you need 1 yard. You need 1 yard. So everybody on the front line, you need to get a push and you need to move the line of scrimmage, and your back just pounds it in there. But watch what Josh Myers does.
The package, Jacobs in there. Jacobs up the middle, he won't get there.
He's the furthest in the end zone. Look at him. Whiffs on the first guy and just keeps going upfield. What good is that? That guy's a second-round pick, okay? And I don't even have to skip plays here.
Play that again. Play that again once.
You want to
Can
see
you
it
play
again?
that again?
Yeah, we can go back and watch it again. It hurts me to watch it.
Jumbo package, Jacobs in there.
Look at him. Already said that's. I think there's supposed to be a double team between him and the right and left guard here.
Yeah. Elton Jenkins is pulling.
What the hell is going on?
Elton Jenkins is pulling. Walker is cutting in on the. He's cutting off the D tackle. It's supposed to be a double team with Myers and Walker.
Wow,
So
this is
Elton
bad.
Jenkins can pull and lead to the other side.
Now that you made me pause it here, look at Myers and I think it's Sean Ryan at right guard right now.
John Ryan is basically looking straight down at the like he's going to go to take a nap.
They're going to the ground. They're not going to be able to help make. And if your center and right guard are not involved in blocking and securing the line of scrimmage on a 1 yard play, you're screwed. Doesn't matter
let
what
me ask you
anybody
this:
else does.
when should you be pulling a guard? Should you be pulling a guard in short yardage with a bunch of guys in every single gap?
Not unless you feel, not unless it's a kick out off tackle run, but it's not because they even have Jordan Morgan in here as an extra offensive lineman.
Yeah, on the other side, maybe to mess with them. I don't know.
Well,
But
he's
they're
just
running to the side with the wide receivers, and they're
Right.
pulling. It's just it makes no sense.
tight ends. You got and you've got
And
Musgrave
Tucker Kraft.
and Ben Sims here, and all 3 tight ends are in the game right there.
Oh, okay, it's
And
Ben Sims.
Morgan's and then Morgan's lined up here on this right side as an extra kind of tight end spot, but an extra tackle. And look at it right there. Josh Jacobs is getting the ball right now. What is he supposed to do? Like,
Well, see, but Josh Myers, the reason why it didn't work is because Elton Jenkins pulls, Josh Myers thinks he has to get over fast to try to get in front of that D tackle. But the D tackle does a quick swim move on him to the outside, and he totally whiffs.
Yeah.
If they would have just stayed there and bunched up and tried to smack him and did a double team with those 2 guys and attacked one area instead of trying to do look at Rasheed Walker.
yeah. Well, because he was trying to block down to cover the pull of Jenkins.
Yeah, and Josh Myers just blocked him out of the play.
Yep.
Jacobs up the middle, he won't get there.
I don't know.
It's
It's a really bad offensive call, and it's a really bad offensive line call for that particular play. You're right. A short yardage like that, secure and move the line of scrimmage. All right. So I think, is this the 3rd and 8? This is the 3rd and 8 you're talking about. 3rd and 8. Look at our friend Jair Alexander. Also doesn't put his mouthpiece in his mouth down here. He's back this far. And to send somebody in this one. The other thing, when you send somebody,
Keyshawn's right here. He's ready to go.
even if you're playing off like Jair is, if you send somebody, you got to expect the ball to come out quick. So you
Right.
should be attacking that play.
If this was Rasul Douglas, he would already, as soon as the ball snapped, he would be moving forward and getting ready to pick that ball off.
You know, another guy that was good at that was Tremont Williams,
Tramon Williams.
because he knew what was going on. He understands the situation. Okay, we're bringing pressure on this play. It's this down and distance. That quarterback's going to have to get rid of the ball, and I'm going to go attack this play. But let's see what Jair does right here on the bottom of your screen.
Hurts hit as he throws. It's called.
Oh, boy.
That's the saddest part. He could have actually stopped him.
Yeah.
Was that first down? That was first down anyways.
No, that was
Doesn't even
3rd and 8.
matter.
That was 3rd
What,
and 8.
3rd and 8?
3rd and 8, yeah.
The guy ran a 6-yard route on 3rd and 8? Well, that was a dumb play call, too.
Well, he ran 7 yards, but he ran an out, and then all he had to do is, I mean, are you thinking that if Jair Alexander contacts you, you're not going to be able to get another 2 yards? Yard or 2?
For sure you are.
Bare minimum? I mean, come on. All right, so that was a jaw play. let's jump ahead here. I'm going to go to other jaw play at about 627. Here we go. Let's take a look at this one. All right, here's Jair again on the bottom. This time he's up, right? He's shaking his finger at somebody, signaling to McKinney or who knows what. All right, does he look ready? Because they could snap the ball at any point here, and he's still got his back turned. But, neither here nor there. Let's see what he does.
Success going against Alexander. They're matched up again. Hurts looking that way. It's caught. Brown.
Oh.
Down, sheds the
Another missed tackle.
A big.
Now, I understand A.J. Brown is a good player, right? He's a big, strong, good, pretty fast wide receiver. He's not like that big and strong, but he's pretty strong, and he's good size. But Jair Alexander, we keep hearing, he makes a ton of money. He's a 2-time second-team All-Pro. He's like a 4-time Pro Bowler. We hear how great he is or whatever all the time, and he's paid like it. And we also heard coming into this game a couple of things. One was that they asked him about following, how in the past he never really got to follow, and he was like, yeah, he's looking forward to following. I'm looking forward to seeing him follow too, because he got whipped in this game most of the time by Brown, but sometimes by other guys too, because he's not fast enough to keep up with a guy like Devontae Smith. So the guy's just not that good. And I've told it to you. So the tape here also tells it to you. I don't want to hear excuses on the field because these other guys aren't falling down. Brown didn't fall down on either of those plays. Jaden Reed didn't have any problems with the field. Figure it out. If you got problems with your cleats, figure it out. And he's off on this one again. We'll give him, we got to go find our other friend here to see how he did. That's right. I'm sorry. So there's also another guy in this game on the other side. And I was worried the most about the cornerbacks coming into this game. I told you that on our last show. This time, Eric Stokes is on the bottom. Let's see how he fared in this game.
Hurts to throw on second down.
Little flip out.
Dump it. Gainwell.
Oh, boy.
Makes 2 miss.
And McDuffie misses the tackle too, no doubt. And I know we're big high on McDuffie. But Eric Stokes has this play set up. Has this play exactly what he wants, right? He's in the perfect position. He's sitting in the flat. He's backed up a little bit. I'll just pause it. I'm going to turn the sound down so it's not annoying. And even watch what happens to Gainwell here. The pass is bad. It's behind him. And look at Stokes. Okay? He sees it. He sees it, and he's coming right for it. And the ball is behind him, which makes Gainwell spin around. So he literally has his back to Eric Stokes when he catches the ball. Now, this is the problem right here. He stops. Instead of attacking the guy, he stops. It's not like Gainwell put a big move on him there. But that's enough. And then an arm tackle, head's not in front, and it's a missed tackle. With nobody blocking you, with a guy right in front of you with his back turned to you, and you have a chance to beeline right at him and go for it. If you remember, Keyshawn Nixon had a play against Jalen Hurts where he's breaking outside the pocket, right? He could have waited, but he didn't. He attacked his leg, he went for it, and he made a sack. Eric Stokes, Jair Alexander, some of their biggest problems is just they're too damn passive, and they don't want to stick their nose in there to make a tackle. And I get it. Everyone will tell you they don't get paid to tackle. They get paid to cover. And they'll even tell you that too. Well, tackling is part of the game. Tackling is an important part of the game. And when you don't get support from your outside defensive backs, the corners, in tackling, you're going to have a problem stopping the run, and you're going to have a problem stopping outside pass plays like that should be no gain or should be stopped short of the first down. One more play for you. This is another Jair one. Let's see what happens here. He is up top. He's up top. Stokes is tight on the bottom. This is 2nd and 7 in the third quarter, early third.
Real weaknesses to go with Jalen Hurts. 2nd down and 7. Hurts with time. Lofts it over the top. Brown's got it. There goes A.J. Brown. Blinding speed. Brown. Touchdown. 67 yards.
Okay. And again, A.J. Brown's a good player, right? He's a good player.
You know that I didn't see that play because I was watching on my phone, and during halftime I was doing something else. So when I came back in, I just heard about what had happened. I did not see it until just now because I didn't want to watch it because I'm done. I was surprised at how slow Jair Alexander is, that he couldn't keep up with Brown. Brown is not a speedster. He's a big guy. He's like a all-around, like Devontae Adams type guy, but way better than Devontae Adams. That's besides the point. And Jair couldn't. And then Jair is doing this weird long circle move up to the top and then coming back again instead of taking the angle and going for it. And then also the other thing, I think Bullard is very aggressive, and that's cool. But Evan Williams, that's his name, right?
Yeah, we didn't get to see him.
He's a way better free safety. Like as far as being a deep free safety, and he takes the right angles, he makes the right plays. I don't know what they're doing.
I take Bullard at corner right now over Jair or Stokes. Like I don't
know about
care.
that.
Put Evan Williams in at safety and let Bullard play some corner.
Maybe
have Keyshawn go
put
outside.
Keyshawn at corner and put Bullard at nickel.
Or put Valentine.
Put Valentine and frickin' Keyshawn. Put Bullard at frickin' nickel. Make sure Evan Williams is on the field because he's really good at free safety, and let Xavier McKinney run around and do Leroy Butler type stuff. Sounds good to me.
Can the Packers coaches stand up to the front office and play the guys who are better, regardless of pay, regardless of
Well, I thought they did with Tucker Kraft. I mean, they gave him 60-some snaps compared to 17.
Bill Huber asked Matt LaFleur about that too, and Matt LaFleur just kind of was like, well, I mean, blowing it off.
Guys, different situations and different.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Instead of saying Tucker Kraft's fucking better. Oops, sorry, I said fucking. But that's what the truth is.
Yeah.
He's just better. He doesn't trip over his own feet.
See, now sometimes some people were talking about thinking Hafley was more conservative, and like JJ thought so too. Now, was he though?
I don't know.
I don't know that he was. He brought pressure. He tried to do, different things. You saw, I mean, they mixed it up. Jair and those guys were playing zone at times. They were playing man, up tight at times. But they couldn't do, none of it worked.
The players couldn't do the job.
Right. The players could not execute. And when you're the defensive coordinator and you have a plan about how you want to play and you want to keep it simple, and then you see your players struggling like Jair and Stokes were at one-on-one stuff, making tackles, covering guys in man, then you got to switch it up because you're like, ooh, these guys are getting exposed. They look bad. They can't do this. Let me see if they can do this. And they couldn't do that well either. So Hafley was kind of screwed. Like, I don't know what else he's supposed to do. And then the other part is if really the rush plan was to just contain Hurts and not try to be too aggressive and get a lot of pressure on him, because if you take that aggressiveness away and you're trying to rush within lanes, you're not going to have as quick of a pass rush, right? You're just not going to get there as fast because you're going to be a little more conservative and careful. If you do that, then you have to cover longer because the rush is not going to get there. But on plays like guys blitz, then you know that somebody's probably coming free and you should attack that play as a defensive back. But our guys either aren't aware of what's going on with the defensive call. Maybe that's the situation. Or they're just not aware when they're on the field. Or they just do their own thing and they don't give a crap. I don't know. Because Jair still got his pick and he still got credited for 4 tackles in the game, even though 2 of them were when guys ran out of bounds and he was the closest guy. But whatever. So when you look at the game, you're like, oh, you look at the stats. Oh, he had a pretty good game. He got a pick and 4 tackles. Sure. No, he had a terrible game.
Listen, when Jordan Love got hurt, I didn't get better. I didn't give a crap.
I mean, I wasn't
I didn't care because I don't know if I'm a Packer fan anymore. I talked about this earlier.
What if buddy Sean Clifford was the backup?
That doesn't matter.
What if Sean Clifford got hurt?
Because our stars aren't stars.
Oh.
Our big money guys aren't playing like big money guys.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't win if the money you're giving to the guys who are supposed to be making plays don't make plays. When your first round picks can't do anything. That's the biggest problem. When you have to rely on Jaden Reed, a third-round pick, Tucker Kraft, a third-round pick, who usually third-round picks suck, not those two. Zach Tom, a fourth-round pick. TJ Slayton, a fourth-round pick, who was an offensive lineman before he became a D tackle. Way better than Kenny Clark. And the worst part is, because we gave these guys that suck all that money, we might lose guys like TJ Slayton because they can't pay him because all the money's sucked into freaking Kenny Clark's crappy ass.
So it goes back to the front office and the GM.
It goes back
making
to the front
decisions.
office.
Mhm.
And LaFleur is a pushover.
Mm.
And we know it because Keyshawn took it out of the freaking end zone because he just felt like it. Jair intercepted the ball, screwed around for a while, took it out of the end zone because he felt like it. They don't care.
Wasn't
There's
that one
no
of the
reason-
reasons you
even though
think
Jair got suspended last year, it didn't do anything.
Right.
I mean, it did, but it didn't because he's still the same guy.
Yeah. Right.
She's not aggressive. They obviously do not reprimand these guys for not being aggressive and not understanding what they're doing. And it's technique, like you just showed. Eric Stokes, when you're running straight forward and then you slow down and stop, you lose all your momentum and all your power, number one. And number two, you're easily able to get goofed because you're slowing down and you can't even go one way or the other way.
And he's not a quick
If you
starter
just-
guy. He's not shifty. So the only thing he has is his speed. So he should just attack. And if
No,
he
but, like,
misses, he misses.
On that particular play, if you just keep running and then just go for the legs, just
Yep.
go for the legs.
Yep.
You're not big enough to go up against the running back and try to take him on up top with the arm tackle.
Yep.
But if he keeps his feet moving, that's the other thing that really drives me nuts. When these guys don't keep their feet moving when they try to tackle, they just do the grab, the Devondre Campbell, which is the grab and drag.
Yeah, he didn't look
Why
very
he
good.
missed so many tackles. No, you attack, put your shoulder through a guy, and keep your feet moving because you plow through them because that's where your power comes from, your feet. When you grab and drag, you lose the power. Then it's just arms hanging on. And
It's
guys
not
are still running. They have the power. The legs, all your power is from your legs. So if you give up your legs as a tackler, you give up the power. And that's the biggest problem with a lot of these guys because they don't know how to tackle.
And they don't practice it anymore either. You know, you don't do that stuff in practice. You don't play in the preseason. And then you
I'll
come
say
out.
this. Yeah, but Edgerrin Cooper, he was freaking. He might not know what's going on, but at least he's running through guys. That's when you watch his college tape. That's what he does too. He just runs and smacks the crap out of you. Sometimes he doesn't even wrap up, but he has the power. He has no.
Yeah.
He doesn't even think about it. He's just attack.
Eric
And
Wilson
the
was
other thing
aggressive
is-
too.
Andy Herman, I don't know. Andy Herman gave McDuffie a pretty decent grade. He was like, yeah, he had a couple of missed tackles here and there. Or he had that one that was really bad, but when you watch the whole film, he's the guy who's always running to the ball. He's the guy who's always around the ball. He's always making, at least in the right spot to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And I've heard other people talk about maybe Ryan Wood said this. I've heard him say this. Maybe we need to put McDuffie at middle linebacker with the headset instead of Quay Walker. Because Quay Walker just doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, he
He
didn't.
doesn't make plays.
Yeah.
And yeah, McDuffie's super undersized, and he might get gobbled up by a guard or something if he's in that position instead of playing the weak side or on the strong side linebacker or whatever he plays now. But at least he's going to be in every play, and he's in the middle, and he'll be able to get to either side and at least get there. And then you can have Quay and Edgerrin Cooper just attack, like have their job be attack and smack something,
Mhm.
and then you know what? Maybe McDuffie is just going to play the AJ Hawk role or the Martinez. Stand back, and when somebody screws up, you're there to make sure that you get the tackle. No, seriously, though.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Because at least those other two linebackers are fast enough and aggressive. Well, at least Cooper's aggressive. I don't know. Quay Walker, I don't know.
I liked Eric Wilson and then he was
Eric
out of the
Wilson,
game that
yeah.
time.
I mean, he's good too. But like,
He's aggressive and he's a good tackler.
he's another Quay Walker's another first round pick. It just isn't doing it. He's not making the plays. He doesn't seem to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's a shame because like we want these guys to succeed. That's the other part that really bothers me.
For
I don't
sure.
want to talk smack about all these guys. I would love it if Jair used to be one of my favorite guys.
That's because they started off with a bang and gave you, that.
Yeah,
great
you know what
play.
else that was really awesome about this Eagles game? Quentin Mitchell or whatever that guy's name was. I can't remember what the hell his name is. The
Yeah.
corner that the Eagles took in the first round.
Yep.
He got beat on a play and tackled Jaden Reed or somebody because he knew he's gonna give up a touchdown. So he just went and tackled them before the ball even got there and got called for a pass interference or whatever it was. And that's the same thing Jair used to do. Because Jair was smart enough to know, oh crap, I got beat. I'm just gonna tackle this guy. Because tackling the guy before the ball gets there is only going to be a 5-10 yard penalty, maybe 15-yard penalty, and not a 40-yard touchdown. Like he gave up the frickin' what's his face in this one, where he's playing off and being a wimp.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of stuff that Jair used to be a good player, and that's the part that's the saddest. Now he's a wimp, and after he got hurt that time, he hurt his shoulder and whatever else he hurt, he came back and he's playing like a ding dong. He's playing like a guy who doesn't want to get in there.
Well,
he's got the money. So he doesn't need
like
it
that forever. Yeah, he's played like that forever.
Yeah, but his first 2 years, he was aggressive and he was
not 2
he did
years.
cool stuff.
His
He was
first
still kind of a ding dong, but he did cool stuff.
year, he kind of did. He did, and he started off pretty good. And really, he grabbed a lot and got away with it a couple games, which helped him get a lot of his passes defended and stuff. But he still was never aware of what's going on. Never had very good at finding the ball, and he's not fast enough. He's not big enough. He's not strong enough. So you put all those things in there, and then everyone tells you he's a good cover, like man corner. Well, you can't. Yeah, against slower, smaller wide receivers, but that doesn't cut it if you're supposed to be, one of the best guys in the league playing against bigger, stronger, faster receivers. Like you can't do it. You can't put up with it.
That makes no sense. By the way, Lee's talking about McDuffie.
I know. I'm gonna get in there.
That he likes to scheme on early downs. And a lot of people were complaining on the Saquon Barkley touchdown catch that McDuffie couldn't keep with him. And I'm like,
how's he supposed to
Saquon
do
Barkley
that?
is the first round, number 3 overall stud wide running back pick who is making a gazillion dollars. McDuffie is a late round guy who barely, what are you talking about? And he stayed with him. He actually had pretty good coverage on that play.
Yeah.
It was a really good pass.
And then
when you watch it back, you see that Xavier McKinney tripped and fell, and he should have been over there to make a play on the ball, but he ended up slipping a little bit, or else he would have probably knocked the ball away or picked it off or something.
Yeah.
So it's another thing where people, when you watch the game, you don't see the whole thing. You don't see the fact that the guy, Xavier McKinney, tripped, or else he would have been there to knock the play down. And then nobody would even be talking about that play. But McDuffie did a pretty good job on Saquon. That's like Aaron Jones would school anybody on that same play.
Yeah, especially because he's got to cover the flat first.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the guy keeps going on the wheel route. Well, then you're kind of in a trailing position, and he did pretty damn good sticking with him. But yeah, it was a great throw and a really good catch by a very talented player who looks like he's back to his old form before he had some injuries. And unfortunately, he's plays for the Eagles. I mean, that's just the gig. But as far as the linebackers go, what stood out to me, because I was looking for this, right? Because like Jeff Hafley said it. What did he say? We heard him. We liked what he said. He said he wanted to keep it simple. He said he didn't want these guys to think too much. We wanted to play fast and physical. And Matt LaFleur said it for the last couple of years. And for some reason, he kept Joe Barry around, even though they had passive defensive play. Whether that was the scheme calls or whether that was the players, we don't know. But here you have a defensive coach who's saying he wants the guys to be fast, physical, hit. The play style is important. He wants to keep the plan simple so they can do that, be fast and aggressive. Matt LaFleur didn't think they were aggressive enough. La. So I don't know what's the problem. Can you have this many passive defensive players? Is that possible that you draft the wrong type of personality, that they're all just passive? Or are they just really dumb? So even when the coach keeps it simple, they still are thinking too much? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how, because I was watching for it, right? We all were looking forward to this new defense and the new approach, and they're going to be fast and physical, and the guys, I'm going to let it rip, and we're going to play, and yada, 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 and Matt LaFleur's been calling for it. Well, where the hell was it? I saw Eric Wilson do it. I saw Keyshawn Nixon do it at times. I saw a couple of guys. But most of the guys, I didn't see it. I don't get it.
Well, Javon Bullard, he was pretty
Yeah.
aggressive a couple
Yeah,
times.
he's pretty aggressive. Yeah.
And then Cooper when he was in there.
Yeah, Cooper.
McDuffie's always around the ball. I mean, they have pieces that can work. The problem is the money pieces don't work. And
Why is
you said
Quay
John,
Walker
I
not
like John's
aggressive?
comment here at
Yeah.
10-13
Oh, yeah,
when
John, yeah.
he names all the first round picks, all the guys we've already talked about, and he says it took Goody 6 years to fix his safety position. Well, he tried with our good guy Savage, and then we kept him for 4 years.
5 years.
Right. Well, yeah, that's right. We took his 5th-year option, which was genius move, and then restructured it so that we had ghost years on the contract, which we're paying for this year. Awesome, but you're right, John. I don't know. I don't know if, I mean, when you draft and then somebody else, JJ McQuaid is saying we got to focus on the D line. Well, I'm pretty sure Lucas Van Ness and Devontae Wyatt, our first round picks, and Rashawn Gary are all within the last 4 or 5 years, 6 years. Every other year there was been a first round pick on the D line. What more can you do?
And the other years is defensive back.
I mean, or a quarterback.
Yeah. But corners.
What more can they do for the D line? They've already drafted so many first round picks on the D line. The problem is they don't play them, or they're just not as good as they thought.
Mm-hmm.
And comparing Rashawn Gary to Nick Perry was the one that really blew my mind, Ben Fennell. I mean, oh my God.
That is
Rashawn
not
Gary's
a
better
good
than Nick
comp.
Perry. Rashawn Gary is a little better than Nick Perry.
Yeah, he is.
Nick Perry is god awful. Nick Perry was terrible. Terrible.
Did you see that just as comparison, and just to kind of put this in your mind for any Packer fans that are old enough to remember this stuff, and if you're not old enough to have witnessed it in person, but you've seen like highlight videos of it, they put together a thing recently and put it out. I don't know, it's floating around social media with just Reggie White doing like his hump move on a bunch of guys and just destroying them, and you're like, oh my God, like he just flung giant men the hell out of his way and then ran to the quarterback, and it was awesome. So, and I get he was a freak and but I mean, come on, how are there no guys that can do moves like that to get guys off balance anymore with as soft as so many of these offensive linemen are? It's like, I don't understand it. I don't understand how, like, you look at Rashawn Gary, he looks like a monster. How is he not dominating more of these tackles? Kenny Clark is a strong guy. How does he not beat some of these, at least decent guards? Like the garbage ones, he'll chew them up and look really good, like we've said. But then when he plays, wasn't this the test, Ben? We talked about it. All the hype with the defensive line, how deep they were, the pass rush, the rotations, the all this stuff was all there. And we said, okay.
That's all we heard all preseason.
Let's see it against a good offensive line, because we've heard this tune before. And everybody's excited because they look great against Packers O-line in practice. Well, hell yeah, they're going to. And then they look good against garbage O-lines they might play in other games. But when they play a good O-line, what does it look like? And it looked like nothing, right?
And people are talking about trading Kenny Clark. They can't.
No.
They just signed Kenny Clark to another extension this offseason. They could have cut him this year and saved money. They could have saved $12 million or $16 million or something by cutting him this year. And instead, they gave him more money and signed him for 3 more years with a bunch of ghost years and added a bunch more to his freaking contract. So now we can't get rid of him for the next 2 or 3 years without taking a penalty. They could have easily cut him. That was one of the things I said in the offseason. I was like, they need to cut Kenny Clark this year.
Yep.
They'll save money.
Yeah.
It'll give us, you can see more. They have, D-line is one of the areas where, Colby Wooden, Carl Brooks.
Did he even play?
Devontae
Colby
Wyatt.
didn't play hardly at all? Little Carl Brooks, but not too
I don't
much.
think those guys played hardly at all.
Yeah.
And that's the dumbest part because Kenny Clark sucked.
Well, apparently
Get
they
him
told
out
him,
there.
Don't rush too hard. Just keep Hurts in the pocket. At least that's what
But
he said.
it's the thing that's the scariest is, or not scariest, I don't know. I mean, let's look and see what happens this week.
We got to see it.
Can Jeff Hafley now look at the film and be like, okay, Jair and Stokes, you guys got to start freaking being aggressive. This is ridiculous. I can't have you sitting back 9 yards when I'm blitzing Keyshawn off the nickel and you're just standing there and letting the guy go and then miss the tackle. You can't be doing this crap.
Because
If I was their coach, I'd be doing tackle drills all week. I don't give a crap. They can find me or whatever through the freaking whatever, the Players Association or whatever. They can find me all they want. I'm going to freaking put them in pads, and I'm going to have them freaking tackling crap all day long because they can't tackle anything. And I'll teach them, do not leave your legs. Do not slow down ever. Never slow down. You give up the advantage every time you slow down and every time you stop your feet. It is dumb. Defense should never slow down, never stop feet. If you're going to miss super fast and aggressive.
Yep.
I'd be way more forgiving if that happens than if you go in there and you slow down and you're all, because then you're going to freaking get your balls kicked in.
Mm-hmm. And you attack the outside, because then if you do miss, or if you do, whiff on the tackle or whatever, you're forcing the guy at least back inside you a little bit. So hopefully you have help coming. It's pretty simple. But I mean, guys, look, if you watch other football games and you watch some of these other teams, the way they play, that's the kind of stuff we've been wanting to see, and we thought we were going to start seeing it. And it does go back. It is perplexing. For the longest time, it was like, oh, the coach is the one taking the aggressiveness out of these guys. Well, I don't know. Maybe the Packers' approach at evaluating players is too much about, we want to make sure we don't have any, and we've talked about this before, guys have a little bit of, a little bit of edge to them. They don't usually keep guys like that or draft guys like that. But you need some of that. Guys can't be doing dumb stuff and getting in trouble, but you got to have a little edge playing defense. More than just being a big talker who talks a lot of shit, You got to be able to hit people, want to hit people. Edgerrin Cooper, okay, throw him out there. Let him run around and whack people. Good. Maybe Quay Walker's the guy that's got to sit down. I know he's had more than 115 tackles his first 2 years, and I know at times he's looked pretty good. But he's too straight up. Let's be real about. I'm gonna give you a quick, honest evaluation about Quay Walker.
Gary, by the way, he starts too straight up, and that's his problem. He takes choppy steps. He doesn't get his pads low to get underneath the guys to make a break or to use his power, and that's a big problem. That's why he's not good.
Yeah,
Reggie White would get low and start low, and then go up and smack a dude. Rashawn Gary still starts standing up, even though Preston's on the other side with his hand in the dirt.
I know he doesn't
watch my pass rush moves.
Yeah, I saw he didn't like to put his hand down much,
and he runs really upright and weird.
Yep.
So he's giving up like the power.
Yeah, and he's exposing his body easily to get his hands on him, and then he doesn't have any forward lean, and he's not down at all. I mean, look at the other guys in the edge. They talk about the bend. He has zero bend, right? That's what they wanted from guys like Clay Matthews. He used to like contort his body like this just to get around guys, right? If he was doing a quick pass rush. TJ Watt does it. Like all the best guys do it. But Rashawn Gary's a big target for the tackle. So he's not that hard to block most of the time, And then, I mean, Preston Smith has a good swim move because his arms are so long. He's not particularly fast, but he gets around guys with a swim move quite often. And interior guys that rush. I know Kenny Clark had 6.5 sacks last year, whatever, but come on, we already talked about that. Most of them are when guys ran into him after they got forced up or they fell down or they injured themselves or whatever.
Since you're talking Kenny Clark, I just want to say something real quick.
Yeah.
In watching the Vikings game, when they played the Giants, Dexter Lawrence was in there for the Giants at D tackle, who's like their big, tough, awesome D tackle. Like he's what Kenny Clark is supposed to be.
Yep.
And they could not, like Aaron Jones was not moving. I mean, he would get a couple yards. He'd but it was rough. And then as soon as he would get subbed out, they would just start running the ball. And not only would they start running the ball, they would get quick and get back up to the line so that they couldn't get Dexter Lawrence back in again. And they ran it again. And that's how Aaron Jones got a lot of these big runs right up the gut, right through, because the offensive lineman could handle the second-level guys who weren't Dexter Lawrence, who's like a monster, right?
Yep.
And that's the kind of stuff that is an example of when you have a stud and you pay that stud and he's supposed to be the stud, and he is, and you can see the difference when he's not on the field. Like there's a huge difference on your defense when he's not out there. When Kenny Clark's not out there, we're better. That's the sad part. But you said you were going to talk about Quay Walker's game. Why don't you talk a little bit about Quay Walker's game?
He's very similar too. He's too straight up most of the time. even when he tackles, a lot of times he's not lowering his shoulder and running through guys. He's kind of grabbing, he's grabbing and hugging them and then bringing them down most of the time. And even when he hits somebody, because he does run straight up, he doesn't actually hit him with his shoulder most of the time. Most of the time he hits him with his chest. Well, there's not nearly as much power with that. And then you end up, hitting him with your chest, hugging him and falling down. Like that's the best result you're going to get most of the time from Quay Walker. And he's supposed to be this dominant, forceful, hitting, aggressive inside linebacker with a lot of speed, who also is heavier than some of these other guys that he can hit. And I just don't see it. So maybe I don't know. They definitely need to shake some stuff up if they want to get something more out of the guys that they paid a bunch of money to. And sometimes that's up to the coach to be like, you know what? You're not performing. We're going to see how these other guys do and give you a little bit of a wake-up call so you understand that maybe someone else will play if you're not playing up to the standard.
Well, I think what they can do, hopefully Jeff Hafley and a lot of the new coaches that he brought in with him who don't have ties with these guys for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think they can replace them outright in the starting lineup. But if they can give them more playing time, like the backups, or guys who are proven a little bit and just kind of be like, hey, and then gradually over time, Packer fans realize, oh, wow, TJ Slaton is really holding up really well there. Devontae Wyatt sometimes is getting in the backfield. Holy crap. He's actually making plays, unlike Kenny Clark, who seems to just stand there the entire time. The pass rush, the pocket has changed, except Kenny Clark is still staying at the freaking line of scrimmage like where he was at the start 2 seconds ago because he doesn't move at all. And maybe that's how they can do it. And that's how, but they can't change the starters, I don't think, but they can at least bring them in and sub them in more. And then prove that by the guys on the field. Now, I don't know if we have the guys to produce, though, behind the guys who make all the money. You know what I mean? In some cases, maybe. I mean, Cooper looked pretty exciting on the couple plays he had, but who knows if he plays more plays? Maybe he screws up all the time. I don't know. We haven't seen any play. He was out for the whole preseason.
Yeah.
But, I mean, all I know is this. Evan Williams is a ball hawk.
Mm-hmm. And a good tackler.
Anthony Johnson Jr. was attacking and smacking guys in the last preseason game, and they just straight up cut him and let somebody else pick him up because they're freaking stupid. I mean, the guy looked awesome.
Yeah.
And they were like, nah, let's go with Jair and freaking, all these other corners who can't do it. Like, Anthony Johnson Jr. played corner in college for 4 years. I'd rather have him out there than Jair any day of the week. I said that before they did the cuts. I said, let's have 4 starting freaking safeties. Start them all. And Keyshawn at freaking corner too. But then they cut Anthony Johnson Jr. like idiot. And of course, boom, he got picked up.
Yeah.
And that's another dumb maneuver, along with the trade of Rasul, the cutting of Aaron Jones to sign Josh Jacobs, who not as fast, not as good as agility. Can't freaking he picked up the blitz a couple times. I'll give him that in this game. But Aaron Jones, as we know from watching that Dallas game and hearing Jordan Love's interview with Micah Parsons, saying that Aaron Jones is just doing stuff that wasn't even in the game plan. He was just like, hey, I'm going to get Micah Parsons no matter where he goes. And he was. And he hit him in the ribs a couple times. And Micah Parsons like, dang it, Aaron Jones, what are you doing here? And now Aaron Jones with the Vikings, and they won.
Little Aaron Jones.
Sam Darnold. They won.
Sam Darnold,
who was 12 for 12 at one point in that game. Sam Darnold, who had the highest PFF grade at quarterback this week. Yeah, Sam Darnold was the highest rated quarterback according to PFF in the week 1 of the NFL. Sam Darnold. And why? Because his coach is just smart. And they have Aaron Jones, of course, because he's the man. And what do we got? So I did like Emmanuel Wilson. He looked pretty freaking awesome.
Emmanuel Wilson is I think he needs more carries. Josh Jacobs, I don't have any problem with him. He just needs a bigger hole, right? He needs more space. He needs a bigger hole.
And I'm sorry, I'm all negative and crabby and whiny and complaining about stupid shit. But when these are the things we talk about all the time. These are the things we talked about and why we didn't want to do any shows in the offseason, because we say the same stuff. Okay? We say the same stuff over and over about all the dumb things they do, the dumb signings they make, the drafting they do that's dumb, when they have good guys that they can get and they don't. So, and freaking McQuaid or somebody or Lee or whoever said, Lee said they could have drafted Dexter Lawrence instead of that. freaking Rashawn Gary.
I didn't realize that. Oh,
And I mean, there's a million guys they could have drafted instead of this guy. We all know that. And of course, Kevin King is the one that everybody talks about the most. But there's a million things that they've done that were dumb that they could have. I mean, Josh Myers, when Creed Humphrey is the next guy,
Yeah.
and the gut, and freaking and Landon Dickerson, who we just saw with the Eagles, who kicked the crap out of Kenny Clark all game. We've seen this already. We've seen all the dumb moves Goody makes because he thinks he's smarter than everybody else. And then they draft the guys like, who the hell's Eric Stokes? I remember when they drafted him, nobody knew. Everybody's like, oh, man, we need a center. We just lost Corey Linsley. Creed Humphrey is sitting right there. And then they draft Josh Myers. And then the Eagles get Creed Humphrey.
the Chiefs. Yeah.
The Chiefs, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And it's like dumb. And it's hard to be a fan when all three levels of the team, president, general manager, and head coach, all seem to be dumb. It's tough. You're a fan and you seem to know more than the coach and the general manager and the freaking president of the team know. It's really hard to be a fan. And I'm not even a genius. Well, actually, I am. But I'm not a football genius. I'm just a regular schlub. I'm a music genius. But I'm certainly not a football genius. But I'm smart enough to look and see things and go, hey, that makes sense. That doesn't. And if I can see it, think of all the fans that actually do know football and have studied football and have played football way better than me and longer than me. Could freaking see the truth. How can you be a fan of that? You just follow the blind. There's so many fans. I don't know what they see. They're told Jair is great, so they're like, Jair's great. He's not. They're told Rashawn Gary's he's a scary pass rusher. Oh, he needs to take that next step now. I mean, and then Ben Fennell. Oh, well, he's kind of like a Nick Perry. No. Nick Perry sucks.
Is Jair kind of like a Terrell Buckley then? I mean, I'm giving him close to that.
Buckley at least went somewhere after and did something for Miami or somebody.
Yeah. He was better. He was a better coverage guy.
I don't remember where he went.
Yeah, he was faster too.
Yeah, but you know what? McQuaid's bring up. We do have Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft.
Jaden Reed was awesome.
That's the thing. There are guys that are awesome that I never heard of, and Goody found, or whoever the scout was in that region who told him to draft that guy.
Yep.
And those guys are great.
Yeah.
And they need to realize when the first round pick, maybe Jair is a above average corner. But if he's asking for top dollar and he's only playing above average and his stats are not even average, why do you give that guy all the money? Because he's your first round pick?
I guess.
Rashawn Gary didn't play for the first 2 years, got hurt for most of it, and they signed him to a big fat contract in his next year when he didn't prove anything. Jordan Love didn't play for 3 years, sucked for 8-9 games, came around at the end and looked really good for a couple games, and they gave him $55 million a year? It makes no sense. Nobody can do that. If I had a job where I showed up and I played and I did my job like crap for 2 months, and then for the next 2 months I was really good, and they gave me a freaking like a raise after 2 months of being good, I'd be like, okay, thanks.
Damn.
I don't think I deserve it, but I'll take it.
Oh, JJ's claiming he told us Reed was the real deal. Well, I'll tell you one thing.
Watson
Reed,
can't catch. Well, we knew that. That's why he fell the second round, because he had the speed and the craziness, but we know he can't catch.
Jaden Reed, the one thing with him is he didn't have any issues with the footing, so that helped him out in this game for sure.
Jaden Reed was freaking the man.
Yeah.
Jaden Reed was the only bright spot of that game. Like,
Manny Wilson too.
yeah, Manny Wilson was a good bright spot too. And Tucker Kraft, he had a couple stupid moves.
Tucker Kraft had a rough time blocking. I'll give him that. He had a rough.
He looked good on his couple catches he had, and he took that one and took it upfield for 20-some yards and looked real good. I don't know what happened to Dontavion Wicks, man. I don't know what happened to that guy.
He was having a hard time. I think all of his shiftiness on that field was too much, and he couldn't even keep his feet. But and he had a couple of crappy balls thrown his way, like really crappy.
Yeah, that first catch by Romeo Doubs, that was nice because it was super low, and he was like, like putting his hands way down, and hand grab, and that was a good catch.
Dude, he's like Devontae, way cheaper and a little better at catching.
He's good.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are bright spots. So, and that's the thing is, to be a fan, you have to find those bright spots and grab onto them.
Yeah.
And hope to God that they're enough to get us through it. But it wasn't enough in this game because all of our dumb guys did dumb shit, including the coach.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Well, that's where you have to wonder, right? Is just will the coaches make the right calls? They've got to make the best with what they have, but at the same time, even though Matt LaFleur talks about putting his guys in the best position to be successful all the time, it doesn't seem like that's what he's doing on game day. So I don't know. Bottom line is there's too many conflicting things that happen for us not to question it and to not question that these guys actually know what they're doing. And so, like we've told that anybody who's watched us or chatted with us or any of that stuff from the start, we're going to call it out. We're going to call it like we see it. And, we're wrong sometimes too, but not too often, to be honest. And the only reason that is because we pay attention to all the other stuff and we don't get wrapped up in the stuff the Packers tell you because we're looking for what we really see. And I'll be honest, watching this game, I was watching when the Packers were on defense, I was watching the corners most of the time just to see what they were doing. So I didn't even look at the line too often. I wasn't seeing how bad Kenny Clark was because I was looking at the corners, and I was unfortunately correct and disappointed by the way they played. So they got to get better. I don't know. Now Ballantyne's limited too, so I don't know where they go. I don't know where they go from here. So those guys got to pick it up. Bottom line, pick it up. And I guess if Jeff Hafley
in living color pick it up.
Yeah, if Jeff Hafley had not told us they were going to be all aggressive and physical and fast and all that, I wouldn't have been let down so much. But I really was because that's what I expected to see. And you were all hyped about it. The one thing I want to see is Packers defense. Yada yada yada.
Yeah,
well,
that's why I'm pissed off now because I didn't see anything different. It looked exactly the same.
Yeah,
it almost looked worse.
Let's end with that. I know the holding call on Ja was a little BS, but he does get grabby at times, and if you're grabby a lot, you're going to get called for it once in a while. But on that last drive the Eagles had, Kenny Clark, what the hell is he doing? You're veteran, high-priced guys. Like, what are they doing getting these penalties that are extending drives? Kenny Clark grabs Saquon Barkley so he can't get out of the wash, thinking he's going to get away with it. What is he doing?
I don't know, but if he didn't grab him, he probably would have been.
Come on.
He would have ran for freaking 40 yards anyway. So who gives a crap?
Come on, man.
Dude, Kenny Clark sucks. I'm going to go down on. I've been saying it for how many years? When are people going to freaking realize it? Andy Herman gave him a bad grade this week, and it broke his heart. It's his favorite guy. And Andy Herman, I got to say this again. I like Andy Herman. I think he's awesome. But sometimes when your favorite guy sucks, and you realize that he sucks, you got to realize he's not even good in the first place. Not that he had a bad game. That maybe he sucks. Maybe Jair just sucks. And that's the biggest problem. Yeah. When you have people who tell everybody that they're good all the time when they're not, it leads to problems like them getting a bunch of money. And then everybody's like, yep, we got to keep him. We got to pay that guy. We got to pay that guy. We got to pay Jordan Love. Just pay him his $55 million. Look at how good he is.
People like to get excited about that. And I will say that Aaron Rodgers probably made people hungrier to embrace Love or get excited about Love faster because they were so done with him and the way he was and is.
Well, I think Jordan Love's a good guy. I like him as a guy.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I think he's a good quarterback too. I'm not saying he's bad. I just saying like $55 million a year.
Yeah,
for 2 months worth of football, I just don't get it.
And he's still not that accurate. And I know there were some footing issues or whatever, but he still had plenty of balls that were, even the ones that were caught, sometimes more than they should have been, were not where the ball should be placed. And that matters. Like, hell, I'll give it to Rodgers. I watched a couple of plays, and he put some balls. He did a Rodgers thing. He made some unbelievable throws that were like, wow, Allen Lazard's barely open here, but you dropped it right in there. It was like amazing stuff. But then he also pissed around, and only 3 guys got targeted or got receptions in that game. Only 3 receivers caught balls from Aaron Rodgers in that game.
And they were all wide receivers, right?
No, Brees Hall, Alan Lazard, and Garrett Wilson. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No tight end wouldn't get a pass thrown to him because we know that from being Packer fans. He hasn't do a tight end in years.
Only got to throw the guys he trusts.
Except his most famous pass was to a tight end, only by accident. By the way, can I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
Jordan Love shouldn't have gotten hurt because that was the dumbest Hail Mary pass play, or I don't know what that was called.
It's dumb.
Like, you have to have a play called. And Matt LaFleur, with Aaron Rodgers there, he should have at least watched Aaron Rodgers, how he rolls out. There's always like a personal protector that he has to help protect. Gives him way more time to roll out and get the ball thrown. What was that? There should have never been a bunch of guys around Jordan Love's legs because he should have been rolling out to the side with a personal protector there to help him so he can get the ball out so the guys can get downfield far enough before he starts chucking it. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
That's bad coaching. Jordan Love got hurt because of his coach, because of stupid play call. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is smart enough to know how to do that stuff. It's probably Aaron Rodgers' play. I doubt that was ever a Mike McCarthy play. But because Aaron Rodgers knows what's up. I mean, he might be an asshole and a ding dong, but he knows what's up on the football field. But that's all I'm going to say. Because when I was watching that, or maybe it was the next play, the Malik Willis play. I was like, what is this? This isn't a Hail Mary. You can't do it like that.
Right.
You need to move the pocket. You need to get the guy rolled out. You need to get away from the pass rush. Give him a personal protector. There you go. Let the guys get downfield. Chuck it up in the air. Give your guys a chance.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's LaFleur has got some dumb play calls. He doesn't have right calls for the right situations. He doesn't ever know who the heck's in the game half the time. He doesn't call specific plays for specific guys, except for when he does, and then they work perfectly, like the end arounds for Jalen Reed. Perfect. But he needs to do more of that. You know why the Chiefs win? Because that's all they ever do. They call the perfect play for the perfect guy every time, and that's why they win games. And they got a great quarterback, yes.
And Pacheco.
A crazy man. Yeah. But Xavier Worthy's faster than lightning, and they had to end around with him, you know. Now, I thought Jaden Reed's end around was way more exciting than Xavier Worthy's, because Xavier Worthy's just so fast, nobody even touched him because he's just so fast. Where Jaden Reed is like run through the line. I thought he was going to get tackled like 7 times during that run, but he's just crazy.
And he's tough.
He had Zach Bond. He's like dragging him for like 1.5 yards and still broke through it and then got to the end zone. I was like, dang. By the way, that's my, play of the game for sure.
Oh yeah.
If just so everybody knows, I think that's everybody's play of the game was that Jaden Reed end around. It was great. It was even better than the deep pass because he just looked so awesome breaking through all those guys, tackles, and it was a great play by Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed was awesome, and he brings it. That helps bring me back to being a Packer fan again. When you see awesome plays like that, it really gets you fired up. But so you have to find it. You have to find that section of you where you're like, okay, Jaden Reed is awesome. Okay, I can still be a Packer fan. Block out all the other dumb crap and focus on that, and hope that we can each week we build one more cool thing that happens. Maybe Adrian Cooper gets a couple more plays this week and he keeps looking good, and we got something here. Maybe Evan Williams comes in and makes a couple plays now, and you got Bullard and him and Xavier McKinney all out there together, and they're making plays and they're doing crazy stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I see it. We're getting somewhere, and those can all help us bring us back to being good fans again. But with your quarterback out for the next 3 to 6 weeks, whatever it is, it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard to see what happens. I think we have to focus on the defense. We're going up against a great running back, an athletic, crazy young quarterback, and a bunch of super fast receivers. Well, a couple super fast receivers they got. Alec Pierce and some other guy who was faster than dirt. At least we know they got Michael Pittman. Put Jair and Michael Pittman. Actually, no, because Michael Pittman's too tall. He'll school him there, too. Yeah. I don't know. Who's Jair going to cover?
I don't know.
He can't cover Alec Pierce. He's too fast.
No.
He can't cover Pittman. He's too
big. Yeah. Pierce is too big, too.
Yeah, Pierce is like 6'3" and freaking runs 4.2 or 4.3.
Yeah. They're going to have to play a lot of zone even to protect their all world cornerback. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. So I hope they can stop Johnny Taylor a little bit, but I hope he gets some touchdowns for my fantasy team too. But anyway, we'll see. the thing is, if David were here, he'd tell you to still have faith because maybe birthday boy Sean Clifford is not too far from getting in the game. You know, he can do it. Birthday buddy Sean Clifford can do it.
Do you think that if Malik Willis starts playing like dog crap in the first couple quarters, they'll switch?
I do.
Okay.
I do, because I think Matt LaFleur knows, like, we can't drop a bunch of games here. And even though I'm not supposed to let Sean Clifford play because Goody said don't do that, I got to try to win the game. I got to play the guy that gives us a better chance to win the game. And Malik Willis seems like a nice dude. I'm perfectly fine with him as a person. I just know.
Yeah, I like this interview they had when he was first signed. I watched his interview and he very respectful and he kind of knows his. He's like, yeah, I mean, I know where it's at. You know, he knows where this is kind of like his last act, or it's a new opportunity for him to learn and prove himself and all that kind of stuff. And now he's got a chance to go out there and prove himself on the field.
Oh, Lee says he'd rather have Clifford than Willis, but then he also follows up with, I'd rather have Pratt instead of Clifford. Oh, Lee.
Now,
Come
from
on.
what I hear, Pratt didn't grasp the offense as quickly as they had hoped.
Yeah, I believe that.
That was the reason why they weren't, like, the coaching staff really was kind of like done with him. So
I believe that.
Oh, Clifford knows the offense because he learned it all last year.
Yeah, Sean Clifford could do it. He could lead him.
All right, I'm really tired and I'm sick of this crap.
All right, sounds good. See you later, bro. Thanks for all the time. You guys behave yourselves. Be good. And don't forget, we still got Jaden Reed. He's doing some good stuff. Maybe Romeo will get some more balls. He looked okay. Tuck will get better at blocking. His catching will be good. Only 2 receptions for Tucker Kraft. That's not enough, right? It's not enough. Not enough. All right, Matt LaFleur, figure it out. You're the head coach. It's on you. It's on you. All right, everybody. We're going to give you this old school one on the way out just because a little ode to our guy, Aaron Jones. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Tell me why the unicorn, still